Notah Begay, NBC Sports Golf Channel analyst, joining us from Augusta. Notah, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be on your show. I dressed up for you. How does that
I
sound?
like it. I like it. Shirt and tie. I like that.
And Dan, we go back a long way. You got to promise me one thing. If I ever go into a coma, don't discuss it on the show, please.
Okay. Do you have something of importance that you could loan me, and then I could keep it? And then if you went into a coma, then I would just hold on
Yeah,
to
it seems like a very sticky situation, but let's just not go there.
Okay.
I'd rather talk about my buddy and the Masters and this the great week we're having here.
Okay, the best piece of memorabilia you have from Tiger is what?
Um, I have, each of the flags that he won during the Tiger Slam, I have one signed, each of one signed by him, all in the sort of the same pile.
I like that. I like that.
So pretty simple, but still, unique if you put them all together.
How much time did you spend with him yesterday or last night?
Not a whole lot. With the pandemic, the most time that I'd spent with him was during the PNC championship this past December. I got a chance to catch up during the practice round. I had my son with me. Charlie was there. They're the exact same age. And, Tiger knows my kids, and, he was there when they were very young, as I was for Charlie. So it was just kind of a fun, relaxed atmosphere to talk about everything, the accident, the rehab, what the future holds. And certainly didn't think we'd be sitting here talking about what's transpired over the last 48 hours.
When do you think Tiger got it in his mind that this was actually possible to play in the Masters?
I think when he saw the quality of shots that he was hitting at PNC, I mean, I know he's riding in a cart and, it's a fun family type of event, but, he hit some high quality shots. He had a little pop in the bat, a little bit more than I thought was going to be there as far as club head speed, hit some wonderful approach shots with his irons. And so it made me sort of step back a little bit and be like, if he could just figure out how to walk 72 to 90 holes, because a lot of people say, well, 72 holes is the tournament, but you got to play practice rounds too. So, that was the whole part of the equation, was a 90 hole type of, is it possible? And he, told me shortly thereafter that he's taken no days off. Every single day, there's some part of his schedule that's dedicated to this rehabilitative process, with the future being unknown, but obviously a pencil circle around the Masters, which, has made many players over the decades do some pretty crazy things.
Well, you've known him for such a long time. There are a lot of people in the world of sports where you say, well, that'll never happen, or that could never happen, or that guy could never win, or that team can't win. I've learned not to say that, whether it's Tom Brady or go down the list of great players of all time. And here we are with Tiger. I had a friend who was at Medalist, where Tiger plays and practices, and he said he can hit shots, he can't walk. And I thought, well, then he can't play Augusta. And then all of a sudden he gets to Augusta and he's hitting shots, but he's able to walk a little bit. So what is that experience like for him? You would think hitting shots at Augusta, that's the hard part. The hard part is in between hitting those shots at Augusta for Tiger.
Right. And, just to put things into focus, this is one of the hilliest, if not the hilliest course the players will face all year. The only other one might be the Plantation course at Kapalua that starts the year off at the Tournament of Champions. And so, this is not an easy walk. I thought that there was a better chance that he would show up at St. Andrews. It's a very flat golf course. It's not as long as Augusta. And so, that might have been a better fit. But like I said, the Masters kind of makes players do crazy things and push their bodies to the limit. And Tiger's very comfortable with pushing his body, putting the time in, doing the rehab. And, he has access to all the available treatment modalities that exist in sport, are all at his house. Cold pools and saunas and different types of hyperbaric chambers and things that he can just add to his whole recovery regimen, which I think has helped him get to this point. But at the end of the day, he's put himself through a lot of discomfort to get here.
I've said this, the last 2 hours. It felt like, as I'm watching him, that he's already won. That that he set the goal of getting here, and then he played well, and he heard the crowd. He saw the fellow competitors. Like that, there was a sense of that's a victory. Now his sights are set on another victory. You know Tiger
Right.
as well as anybody. Can you sense that during rehab, my goal was to play in the Masters as a victory?
Well, I think today will be the telling round where whether or not he feels like he can actually win. You can train for an event, you can train as much as you want for a competitive game, a cycling race, a round of golf, but until you actually go through it with all the pressure, the stress, the adrenaline, the highs, the lows, they were out there for a long time yesterday. The round took a long time. And he said it in his post-round comments. He's like, I'm extremely exhausted and I'm as tired as I thought I'd be. I'm sore. And now he had about 20 to 21 hours to recover. And today we'll see within the first probably 3 or 4 holes whether or not it's all still there, which I think will be some compelling television.
Notah Begay, NBC Sports Golf Channel analyst, joining us from Augusta. Do you think Tiger can win?
I do. He's not a player that's going to show up to an event. And I know we've talked about it. He coined the phrase second sucks, and he still believes that. Like he wants to come out and not sort of have people celebrate him or him celebrate himself for overcoming these physical hurdles and injuries. But, he shows up here in as peak condition as he can with his game as much intact as possible. And he went out there and he beat players that have played over the last 2 years, which was his last start, have played over 40 events. Some high caliber players, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, players that have won majors and are at the top of their game. He went out there and he outperformed them, which I think is extraordinary.
How many contenders do you think we have to win it all?
Right now, usually every year it's about a dozen players that can really contend and win here at Augusta. It's, you throw the first timers out, 91 players in the field. There's 20 first timers. You throw sort of the players that have aged out, the couples, the longers, the Olathe balls, and then you throw out the players that aren't playing very well. So at the end of the day, maximum you're looking at 15 to 20, but I usually try and circle about 10 to 12 names on that list. And it's a list of usual suspects. This is not an event you can come from off the pace very well. Winners have proven that you need to be within 5 shots after the first round. And if you're not, you've pretty much eliminated yourself from winning.
It feels like Tiger's embracing the media just a little bit more than he used to, Notah.
Dan, he's embracing everything a little more than he used to. He's really approaching golf and life with a sense of appreciation. I think a near-death experience would hopefully do that to most people. He realizes that if it wasn't him, there was probably a better than 50% chance they would have amputated his leg after the accident 14 months ago. And the fact that it was Tiger Woods, they spent 14 hours in surgery trying to save the leg. They saved it. He was in such bad condition. Let's not forget that they couldn't move him for 3 months. This is a guy that has the access and the means to everything, to medical and transportation and private jets and everything. And they still could not move him for 3 months. And it precluded him from being able to see his family. And it just kind of speaks to the seriousness of the injury and the fact that he's here and in a competitive frame and only 4 shots back of the lead. I'm sitting here telling you this, still dumbfounded by how this all happened.
What was that call or text like when you were told Tiger had been in the accident?
It was a dark time. Your mind starts racing, and then you start texting and calling your own network to see if you could get any information on, did he survive? Is he going to survive? What's the outlook? I mean, you really just start to go through sort of the worst scenarios in your head. And, that was the time where I thought there was a good chance I was going to lose one of my best friends in the world. And it was a scary point. And the fact that he came out of there, with the leg and was going to, had a good recovery on the horizon was enough for me. But he just has this burning desire to compete and to get out there and to push himself. And I think that came from, again, a big part simply because he was so much better than everybody else at his peak period that he had to learn how to self-motivate. And there's really no reason for him to be back here in terms of he does not need to prove anything to anyone. The 2019 Masters win was his drop the mic moment in terms of, look, I've won. I proved to you I can come back and now I'm out of here. Like he could have ridden off into the sunset very easily, but that's just not how he's wired. He felt like he had some more good rounds in him. And he himself told me, he's like, look, it's not going to be the same version of Tiger that you saw early in my career. It's going to be a different version. And I'm going to have to piece these rounds together. And you just saw him yesterday. I mean, he was putting the ball in places that when he was in trouble, seventh and the ninth hole, he hit really bad drives. Instead of trying to hit the miraculous $1 million shot, he laid up to a spot where he could chip, and he pieced together two great pars there, which helped contribute to that overall score. So he's not trying to pull the rabbit out of the hat. At least he didn't yesterday. There will come a time where he will have to do it, but he's not going to do that on a regular basis. It's going to be a different type of game he has to play.
Augusta, the Masters finally got around to celebrating Lee Elder. Now rest in peace. He broke the color barrier. You're the first Native American to ever play at the Masters. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
How is that celebrated? I mean, in your world, is that a big deal? Was it celebrated?
Not really. If I was a basketball player coming from an American Indian community, I think I would sort of have a bigger reach. But because golf's not all that prevalent in our reservation communities, it's because it's just by nature, it's a very tough sport to access. It's expensive. It went sort of unnoticed in a lot of areas, but there's a small group of people out there that sort of appreciate sort of the things I've done in terms of breaking down some barriers and setting new standards about what's possible for a young Native American kid out there that wants to be in broadcasting, that wants to be in professional sports, that wants to go to a school like Stanford and get an economics degree. And that's really all I'm trying to do. I don't approach life with any expectation. I just try and do the best I can with what I have and the opportunities that are given me to try and get more of these young Native kids that are facing some pretty dire circumstance in their own life on a day-to-day basis, a chance to dream big and hopefully, do what they need to do to reach their dreams.
Always great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. As
always.
It's
great being on your show, Dan.
Have a great weekend. That's Notah Begay, Golf Channel analyst, live from the Masters.